Prynhawn da, good afternoon. I'm Liz Miles, an Assistant Director at Estyn. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you all and thank you for joining us on this Estyn Live this afternoon. I'm joined by three of my colleagues, Liz Barry, HMI, Amanda Hilton, HMI, and Richard Thomas, HMI, all of whom have expertise in English or Welsh language and literature. Going to start with some housekeeping. Part of this webinar will be in Welsh, and we have English language translation available. So if you don't understand Welsh, please look to the top of your screen and you'll see three buttons and the word more. If you click on those three buttons, go enable language and speech, then choose language interpretation, and then choose English. Once you've made this selection, it will automatically pick up the translation. We're hosting this Estyn Live because reading really matters. From September 2026, we're going to have a 3-year enhanced focus on reading. And this is because we want to support every education provider from our non-maintained nursery settings, schools, colleges, adult learning services to focus on improving the literacy levels of every learner in Wales. So why this focus? Because reading underpins pupils' learning across the curriculum. It affects their confidence as learners and their life chances beyond school. Inspection evidence and research are very clear that when pupils struggle to read fluently and with understanding, this limits their progress in every area of learning. There's also a strong and well-established link between reading and poverty. Pupils who do not develop secure reading skills are more likely to experience long-term disadvantage, while confident readers are better able to access learning, develop language, and succeed academically and in life. In November last year, we set out a clear commitment to strengthen our focus on reading. But this isn't a new area of interest for us, and it's not about introducing new requirements for schools. Reading has and always will be an important part of inspection. Our enhanced focus is about sharpening our shared focus on one of the most powerful drivers of improvement across all of the sectors that we inspect. So we will be evaluating what's working well through our inspection work, and we're going to share materials to support providers to continue on their reading improvement journey. By focusing on this priority area collaboratively, we can help break that cycle I talked about between low literacy skills and poverty. In the first year, through our inspection work and the visits to schools and other providers, we're going to gain an understanding of how well schools develop a strong culture of reading to ensure that all their learners make progress. We're going to look at consistency and effectiveness of systems and approaches that the school currently has in place to support learners as they move through the different stages of reading development: pre-reading, phonetical awareness, advanced reading. We're going to talk about the structured and evidence-informed approaches that match learners' needs at different stages and why schools have chosen the systems that they have. And as I said earlier, we're going to offer a range of focused resources and share effective practice and successful approaches to support the teaching of reading. You may be aware of recent media discussion about reading in Wales. Some of that discussion has been very helpful in raising awareness of aspects of reading development. We feel that it's important to consider the full, complex picture of how reading works. The practice that we see that contributes most successfully to support pupils' progress in reading, and where Wales as a country needs to place its effort. I want to be clear about what our inspection evidence tells us about reading in Wales. Across primary schools, inspectors see many pupils learning to decode words accurately. However, the most persistent challenge we identify is not decoding alone. The biggest challenge lies in pupils' understanding of what they read and in supporting them to make progress towards becoming independent, more advanced readers. Too many pupils struggle to read a wide range of texts critically, to make complex inferences, to evaluate and analyse what they read, or apply reading skills independently across all areas of the curriculum. So when Estyn talks about reading, we aren't narrowing our focus, we're widening it from learning to read, reading to learn, and ultimately to read critically and independently. Today's session is all about clarity. Liz Barry is going to start off setting out the wider context of why we feel reading is a priority for schools. And then we'll answer some questions that have frequently been raised. We'll explain how Estyn approaches reading in primary schools and on inspections, what inspectors focus on, and how professional dialogue with schools, teachers, support staff works in practice. So Liz, over to you, and we can stop sharing the slides. Thank you.
Diolch Liz, prynawn da. I'll just say a little bit more now, as Liz has indicated, about the relationship between reading and equity within the context of our inspection work. To reiterate, our inspection evidence and research shows that reading is one of the strongest protective factors against the impact of poverty on pupils' learning and life chances. When reading's weak, the impact of poverty is often magnified. So when inspectors talk with leaders and staff about reading, that professional dialogue often includes questions through the poverty lens. So questions such as, how do you know which pupils are struggling with reading? What types of barriers are they facing? We might talk about how early the school is in identifying these pupils and the type of support the school provides to pupils from low-income households to catch up. But also very importantly then to keep up with their reading development. We also explore on inspection how schools are ensuring that reading provision benefits all pupils, not just those who find reading easiest, and how they're working with parents and carers to support pupils' reading development. Do they have strategies or approaches for engaging with hard to reach families? So this focus on reading and equity is not an add-on. This isn't an inspection within an inspection. This is a golden thread that's running through all of our primary inspection work. So when Liz talked about too many pupils struggling to read a wide range of texts or applying reading skills independently across the curriculum, a key factor in this is vocabulary. And where pupils have limited vocabulary knowledge, reading comprehension is significantly affected, even when their decoding is secure. And this has a particular impact on pupils affected by poverty, who may have had fewer opportunities to develop rich language and that broad background knowledge to bring to texts. You might have listened to our podcast on literacy, and if you have, you will have heard the head teachers in that discussion with me talking about the importance of learning experiences for pupils from low-income households and how often the lack of social and cultural experiences compounds the challenges of them progressing in their reading. So I don't think we can reiterate that message enough. Pupils often struggle to understand what they read because they just don't have a sufficiently broad background knowledge, or life experiences to draw upon, and then that weak vocabulary knowledge, you know, sort of compounds those issues as well. So, you know, just to reinforce Liz's message, really, that improving reading is one of the most powerful ways that schools can address inequity, and that's why we look at it on inspection in this particular context.
Thank you, Liz. One of the questions that we're frequently asked is, what are the key things inspectors focus on when they look at reading in a primary school? Richard, are you able to start answering that for us?
Ie, wrth gwrs, diolch Liz, a pnawn da bawb. Wel, ein man cychwyn y bob amser ydy'r cynnydd mae disgyblion yn ei wneud o'i mannau cychwyn, wrth gwrs. Mae gan arlygwyr ddiddordeb mewn sut mae medrau darllen disgyblion yn datblygu dros amser, nid mewn cyfnodau ynysig ac ar wahân, ond hefyd yn ein edrych ar ddarpariaeth sy'n cefnogi disgyblion i ddod yn ddarllenwyr hyderus ac annibynnol. A pan dyn ni yn arolygu, dyn ni'n canolbwyntio ar gwestiynau cyffredinol fel beth yw strategaeth yr ysgol ar gyfer datblygiad darllen, a pha mor effeithiol ydy hynny. Pa mor llwyddiannus mae'r ysgol yn datblygu diwylliant o darllen. Dyn ni'n holi hefyd pa mor dda mae arweinwyr yn deall datblygiad darllen o'r blynyddoedd cynnar ymlaen, a sut maen nhw'n sicrhau bod dysgu proffesiynol yn cefnogi'r holl staff i gael y wybodaeth angenrheidiol honno i fod yn athrawon darllen effeithiol. Pa mor dda mae addysgu ag asesu wedi gydweddu a chyfnodau datblygiad disgyblion a pha wahaniaeth mae hynny'n ei wneud i gynnydd disgyblion. Sut mae disgyblion hefyd, yr rhai sy'n cael trafferth darllen, yn cael eu hadnabod a'i cefnogi, yn enwedig yr rhai sydd ag anghenion dysgu ychwanegol, a'r rhai sydd yn dod o aelwydydd o incwm isel, neu'r rhai hefyd wrth gwrs ar Gymraeg neu'r Saesneg fel iaith ychwanegol iddynt. A dyn ni'n holi hefyd sut mae oedolion yn gwirio bod disgyblion yn darllen yn gywir ac yn deall fer hyn maen nhw'n ei ddarllen. A mae werth bod ni'n eglur yn fan hyn yn bod ni yn ystyried pa mor dda mae'r ddarpariaeth ysgol yn datblygu medrau cyn ddarllen disgyblion, pa mor effeithiol maent yn addysgu ffoneg ac yn datblygu'r higilder, geirfa a dealltwriaeth disgyblion. Yn ogystal â chefnogi disgyblion i ymgysylltu a'r profiad o fwynhau darllen, a'i gallu gymhwyso eu medrau darllen ar draws yr ystod profiadau dysgu. I fod yn glir, mae addysgu systematig ffoneg yn floc adeiladu allweddol o ddysgu darllen. Ond nid yw hyn yr unig elfen bwysig yn datblygiad darllen ac nid ar draul dulliau eraill. Dyma be dyn ni'n ei olygu pan fyddwn nhw'n siarad am ddull neu ymagwedd gytbwys o gefnogi disgyblion i wneud cynnydd yn eu medrau darllen. Liz, do you have anything to add there?
Thanks, Rich. I'll emphasise a few points, if that's okay. You know, firstly, that inspectors expect to see systematic phonics teaching. Our inspection evidence has shown that phonics is most effective when it builds on really secure foundations in language, attention, and auditory and visual perception, which I'm sure Amanda will want to say something about, you know, in a bit more detail in a moment, as that's her particular area of expertise. You know, inspectors are trained to recognise when phonics is taught well, when it's introduced appropriately, and how it supports pupils' progress over time. They're equally alert to situations where pupils can decode but struggle to understand, because both matter.
Thanks, Liz. That's a really important point you've just made. And it brings me on to a question that's becoming more frequently asked around when should phonics be introduced in the early years and in foundation learning? And Amanda, I'd like you to take that question if you could, please.
Diolch, Liz. Prenhawn da pawb. It's a really good question, and quite often we get asked specifically about the nursery class. Should phonics teaching start in the nursery class? Well, the first thing that I want to be really clear about is that we're not looking for phonics to be introduced to children before they are developmentally ready. So what we're looking for is really good quality early years provision. This can provide children with many really essential skills in a holistic way through play, exploration, positive interactions, engaging experiences that helps children to thrive. But within that, there are lots of essential pre-reading skills that children will develop through that really high quality early years practice. Okay, and those skills that I've just talked about, they include pre-reading skills that are related to children's physical development. So can children, have they got a good core strength? Have they got good coordination? Have they got the fine motor skills to turn pages in books? And also reading skills related to personal and social development. And of course, Liz mentioned children's visual discrimination skills, their visual memory, visual literacy skills, and tracking skills are all really important foundations for early reading. There are, of course, other fundamental aspects to children's development too. And one of them that we look at when we inspect nursery provision is the development of children's communication and language skills. And we explore how well practitioners understand progression in children's communication language development. How effective are their interactions in supporting this? And what impact does that have on children's progress? We'll also look at how well they support children's attention and listening skills. Are they strong language role models for children? Do they engage children in meaningful conversations, get down to children's level, give them good eye contact, and model active listening? We also look at how well they support children's oral language and vocabulary. And Liz has already mentioned the importance of this, particularly in vocabulary, to support children's comprehension as they become readers. And closely linked to this, we look at the quality of support for phonological awareness. So this links really closely to the question. And at this stage, we're not routinely looking for practitioners to be supporting children with letter sound correspondence, or to use the technical terms, grapheme phoneme correspondence. We're not routinely looking for that. We're much more focused on pupils' sound discrimination skills. So opportunities for children to explore, experiment and play with sounds. And this may involve recognising environmental sounds. So when children in the outdoor area being alerted to sounds they can hear, for example, a helicopter going by or a bird singing, a tractor going by, perhaps in some rural communities, and being able to hear, recognise and identify those sounds. It may mean exploring sounds such as instrumental sounds through percussion instruments or just through their general play, and manipulating sounds, for example, in children's imaginative play. We all know how noisy some children love to be, and all of that exploration of noise, for example, transport noises or making animal sounds, all of that is really good for children's phonological development. Another aspect of phonological development that I want to mention, which is crucial, is an awareness of rhyme. And over recent years, certainly nursery rhymes have tended to fade away, but rhyme in itself is really important, and it's important that children do learn some simple rhymes. It's also important because it's a very strong predictor of how children will do later on with their reading. So inspectors, when they go into the nursery class, we will be thinking about questions such as, are children familiar with a range of rhymes? Can they recognise and manipulate rhymes? And there are two other important areas that I want to mention. One of them, Rich mentioned, and it's that culture of reading. And What is children's experience of books, stories, texts within the nursery? Do they get a lovely, rich experience? Have they got favourite stories? Have they got connections with some of the characters? Because even very young children can form strong connections to characters. So that's all really important too. And of course, again, already been mentioned by Liz, that partnership with parents. It's important all the way through, but I think particularly important in the early years. On inspection, we will look at how well practitioners support that partnership with parents and carers, because we know it's really powerful in supporting early reading development. And finally, I just want to say that, returning to the original question, there is a belief among some people that starting phonics in the nursery class is giving pupils a head start. So we can see where it's coming from a good place, that especially where children come in perhaps with underdeveloped communication and language skills, schools really want to do the best for the children, but in some cases they are starting the phonics in the nursery class before children are ready, and rather than giving them a head start, children are missing out on all of those important, crucial pre-reading skills that they need as a foundation for future success in reading. So progression into phonics should be based on children's readiness, and definitely not any pressure to do this too fast or too soon. So if we see phonics teaching in the nursery class, we will have conversations with staff about how they evaluate children's readiness, especially where pupils begin school with underdeveloped communication skills. So there we are. I hope that provides some clarity about what we look for in relation to reading when we inspect nursery provision, and where we stand with the introduction of phonics in the nursery class.
Thank you, Amanda. That was very clear. So, Liz, what about the focus on reading throughout an inspection progress, not just in the early years? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, certainly, Liz. Just to really emphasise, I suppose, that when we're talking about reading, we're talking about pupils making meaning. Yes, that means reading words accurately and fluently, but it also means understanding what those words and other forms of information are communicating. You know, pupils are growing up in a multimedia world where meaning is conveyed through written text, still images, moving images, diagrams, charts, symbols, you know, and they're often combined in a digital form that pupils are accessing more and more. So we're also interested in how well pupils are taught to integrate different sources of information to make sense of what they read, as well as their ability to read fiction and poetry and understand those forms, you know, what we might refer to as more traditional forms of text. So to say a little bit more about the actual inspection methods then, I've already sort of mentioned around sort of that reading and equity are sort of these threads that run through all parts of the framework. You know, reading's not inspected in isolation. It sits across the 3 inspection areas of teaching and learning, wellbeing, care, support and guidance, and leading and improving. And inspectors gather evidence about pupils' progress and, importantly, their attitudes to reading in the same way as they always have. And that's through observing the learning and teaching of reading in whatever forms that's taking, you know, listening to pupils read, talking to pupils about their experiences of reading in school and outside of school. And we always have that sort of conversation and focus on whether they're reading for pleasure as well as for their learning. You know, we meet with staff and leaders about all aspects of the school's life, but that includes reading as well. And we gather, as you know, colleagues on the call will be aware, you know, information through questionnaire responses that pupils, staff and parents and governors complete before the start of the inspection. You know, and they never predetermine evaluations. They're just one piece of evidence. They can also often prompt some questions, you know, for the start of the inspection process. And what we've done is we've added a small number of reading specific questions to those questionnaires. Now, they are designed to support our understanding, inspectors' understanding. They're not there to create extra work or any new expectations for schools. So I'll just give you a little flavour of sort of what these questions and prompts are focusing on. We're asking pupils, for example, to tell us to what extent they agree that in school they can read different types of books that they like, and we give them some examples to support them in that. Whether they read to find things out to help them in their learning, and whether they enjoy it when adults read stories or other books to the class. In terms of the parents, we're asking about whether their child enjoys reading, if school staff encourage reading at home, and whether the school shares useful advice for them about to help their children with reading. So we've always talked to parents and carers about a school's provision for reading and their involvement in their children's reading development when we meet with parents and carers at the beginning of the inspection, and we will continue to do that. So I think it's probably important to emphasise to everybody on the call that inspectors are not expecting schools to produce any additional documentation or to suddenly begin using a particular reading scheme or a resource. We don't have preferred teaching methods or materials. We ask professional questions about the impact that provision is having, based upon the decisions that schools make, and having professional conversations about why they've made those decisions in the best interests of their pupils. So I hope that just gives a bit of a picture, Liz.
It does. Thank you, Liz. And I think it's important to say that the additional questions that have been added, we're piloting those in a few primary school inspections this term. We'll be working with the leaders of the school and hopefully some staff to say how well those questionnaires went, and to look at the ways that we inspect reading to help shape and inform the future work that starts for all primary schools in terms of inspection from September 2026. I'm going to take this opportunity, I think, to clarify our position on another aspect, which has caused questions for us and some public debate, which may have confused some parents, particularly around the topic of learning to decode, and the question that we're frequently asked: does Estyn support cueing or guessing instead of phonics? There's a really simple answer. No, we don't. We do not expect nor desire pupils to guess words from pictures. We do not or want them to bypass decoding as parting to learn to read. What we do want, though, is for our learners, our readers, to use multiple sources of information in reading, and that isn't the same as guessing. So, for example, in English, phonics alone is not always enough to be able to pronounce or understand a word accurately. So take the word spelt R-E-A-D. Phonics alone can't tell you whether it should be pronounced read or read. T-E-A-R, tia, te. To read those words accurately, the learner also has to draw on grammar and meaning, and that isn't guessing. It's necessary linguistic knowledge, and it's an essential part of skilled reading. And our inspectors are trained to recognise this balance and the progression. Liz, I can see you nodding. Do you want to come in here?
Yeah, thanks, Liz. I think, similarly, when pupils are interpreting an illustration, a diagram, a chart, this isn't about replacing the decoding of words. They are using it to deepen these visuals to deepen their understanding of a text. And where we see that practice is strong in schools, pupils are taught explicitly to decode words accurately using their phonemic understanding. But they're also taught to check whether what they've read makes sense, and to confirm the meaning, drawing on, as you said, the grammar of that sentence, the context of their reading, and their background knowledge to make sense of it. That's what skilled readers do. It's not guessing. And our inspection evidence shows that structured discussion of images and visual information that often strengthens pupils' comprehension, their vocabulary, and particularly their understanding of more complex texts for those pupils affected by poverty. As we've already emphasised, pupils are growing up in a multimedia world and they need to navigate multimedia text. So this notion of visual literacy is becoming increasingly important as a dimension of reading. And schools that have effective provision for reading, they recognise that and they plan for it. In the social media and generative AI age, being able to analyse, question and challenge online texts, that's becoming an increasing need. And critical literacy that you mentioned at the outset, Liz, that equips pupils to engage thoughtfully in their reading. We want them to be, we don't want them to be, just receiving information passively. We want to help them to be able to recognise bias and to be able to evaluate the credibility of the text that they're reading. And, that's particularly important, as part of reading development, particularly for older pupils. And in the schools who do consider reading in its broadest sense and all these different aspects of it, they're thinking about how they do develop these skills in their learners as part of that whole school reading strategy.
Thanks, Liz. So just to summarise, the inspector at Estyn doesn't support guessing, and we don't advise schools to replace phonics. We expect systematic phonics teaching, but we also recognise how reading words that skilled readers use knowledge of grammar, vocabulary and context alongside phonemic knowledge to read accurately. Drawing on other knowledge is not guessing, it is part of fluent reading. Now, we're coming towards the end of this Estyn Live, but I'm going to hand over for the last the question that we're asked frequently from our Welsh medium schools. What does the focus on reading look like in a Welsh medium school, Richard? You're best placed to answer this.
Diolch Liz. Mae'n bwysig bod ni yn ystyried hyn, achos mae yna wahaniaeth penodol yn amlwg. Achos mewn ysgolion cyfrwng Cymraeg a ffrydiau Cymraeg, mewn ysgolion dwyieithog, mae llwybrau gwahanol gyfer datblygu medrai darllen Cymraeg a medrai darllen Saesneg disgyblion. Hynny yw, mae arlygwyr yn deall ac yn gwerthfawrogi hyn ac yn cydnabod bod disgyblion yn gwneud cynnydd ar wahanol gyfnodau wrth iddynt ddatblygu medrai darllen yn y ddwy iaith. Mae'n bwysig ystyried bod llawer o ddisgyblion sy'n mynychu ysgolion cyfrwng Cymraeg neu ddwyieithog yn dod o gartreflu ble na siaredir y Gymraeg gartref ac o ganlyniad mae'r deill o gyflwyno ac o drochi'r disgyblion i'r iaith Gymraeg yn rhan annatod o'r ddarpariaeth. Gyda'r flaenoriaeth yn y lle cyntaf yn cael ei gosod ar ddatblygu meddai gwrando a siarad disgyblion ieuangaf neu'r disgyblion hynny sy'n cael eu cydnabod fel hwyr ddyfodiad i'r iaith, wrth iddynt mynychu y ddarpariaeth Gymraeg am y tro cyntaf. Ac wedyn trwy ddulliau a dysgu bwriadus o gyflwyno geirfa a phatrymau iaith ar lafar gan staff, mewn modd adeiladol a chynhwysol, mae disgyblion yn caffael Gymraeg yn llwyddiannus dros amser. Ac mwyn cefnogi'r disgyblion gyda'i datblygiad mewn medrau darllen, mae athrawon yn cyflwyno ffoneg Gymraeg i ddisgyblion mewn dull systematig, law yn llaw, wrth gwrs, a defnyddio amrywiaeth o ddulliau addysgu a dysgu ffeithiol eraill. Enghraifft, maen nhw'n canu hwya'n gerddi ar eu gymed nhw, neu yn darllen storïau cyfarwydd iddyn nhw, neu yn gosod tasgau penodol mewn ardaloedd iddyn nhw, ddarllen labeli a gwahanol gyfarwyddiadau yn y gofod allanol enghraifft. A trwy brofiadau cyfannol fel hyn, mae athrawon yn darparu gweithgareddau a chyfleoedd perthnasol ble mae disgyblion yn defnyddio eu medrau llafar a'i hymwybyddiaeth a ffoneg y Gymraeg mwyn adeiladu dealltwriaeth o eirfa a phatrymau iaith mewn gweithgareddau darllen hefyd. A mae'r profiadau hyn yn amlwg o fewn diwylliant darllen ysgogol y ddarpariaeth. Mae hyn yn rhoi hyder i disgyblion i ddefnyddio a chymhwyso eu medrau darllen yn unol â'i hoed ac am ddatblygu wrth gwrs. Mae staff yn darparu testunau Cymraeg amrywiol sy'n enyn a chynnal eu diddordeb ac hefyd sy'n diwallu ag anghenion y disgyblion er mwyn eu cefnogi i wneud cynnydd yn eu medrau darllen. Ac wedyn wrth i ddisgyblion symud drwy'r ddarpariaeth cyfrwng Cymraeg, ac wrth i'w medrau darllen aeddfedu, mae athrawon wedyn yn cyflwyno ffoneg Saesneg i ddisgyblion trwy ddulliau ddysgu dysgu effeithiol, mwyn y cefnogi i wneud cynnydd yn y medrau llythrennedd yn y Gymraeg a'r Saesneg. Ac yn gan fod y disgyblion yn meddu ar fedrau darllen mewn un iaith, sef y Gymraeg yn amlwg yn y cyd-destun hwn, mae hyn yn eu cefnogi wedyn i ddatblygu medrau darllen yn Saesneg hefyd, ynghyd ac mewn ieithoedd eraill, enghraifft eu uwch fedrau darllen. O ganlyniad ac yn fuan iawn, mae disgyblion yn defnyddio yr un strategaethau darllen yn y Gymraeg a'r Saesneg, sydd dros amser yn eu cefnogi i wneud cynnydd yn eu medrau darllen y gyffredinol, fel wrth iddynt gymhwyso eu medrau i ddadansoddi gwybodaeth mewn gweithgareddau ar draws y meysydd dysgu. Ond y nod, wrth gwrs, a mae'n bwysig ystyried hyn, y nod mewn ysgolion cyfrwng Cymraeg a dwyieithog, ydy bod medrau darllen y disgyblion yn datblygu'n gyson ac yn adeiladol yn y Gymraeg a'r Saesneg, erbyn diwedd eu cyfnod yn yr ysgol gynradd. Hynny yw, bod eu medrau llafar a llythrennedd gan gynnwys y medrau darllen o'r un safon yn y ddwy iaith. I'll hand over now back to you, Liz.
Thank you, Richard. So, just to close, I think it's important to return to 3 simple messages. Reading has always mattered on inspection. Inspectors understand how reading develops, and our focus is on impact, equity, and improvement. I want to thank the 3 contributors for all your contributions to this Estyn Live, and I want to thank everyone who's joined us and to say thank you not only for sharing your time, but for the work that you do to continue to support and develop reading across our schools in Wales. If you haven't done so already, there's a dedicated reading section on Estyn's website where you can access podcasts on literacy, as well as our latest thematic reports. So again, thank you for joining us, particularly after what I can imagine was a hard day in work. We really do appreciate your time, and I hope you have a very good evening. Thank you.